There was once a powerful king who had everything a man could desire. A magnificent palace, thousands of soldiers, endless wealth, and an entire kingdom waiting for his decisions. Yet despite having everything, the king had one problem. He could not focus. Every morning he would sit in his royal chamber to work. But before he could finish one thought, another would appear. A minister would bring him a problem. A messenger would arrive with news from the border. Someone would ask for money. Someone else would demand justice. And when the palace became quiet, his own mind became louder. He worried about the future. He regretted decisions from the past. He imagined enemies that might attack him. He thought about losing his power. Even when his body was sitting on the throne, his mind was somewhere else. One day the king became so frustrated that he asked his advisors, "Who can teach me how to control my mind?" The advisors gave him many names, scholars, warriors, priests, but none could help him. Then someone whispered, "There is a man who lives far from the palace. His name is Lao Tzu." The king immediately sent for him. When Lao Tzu arrived, the king said, "I have everything. I have power, I have knowledge, and I have people to advise me. But I cannot control my attention. Tell me how to make my mind focus." Lao Tzu looked at the king quietly. Then he asked, "Why do you want to control your mind?" The king was surprised. "Because my mind is always running." Lao Tzu smiled. "Then perhaps your first mistake is trying to catch it." The king didn't understand. Lao Tzu pointed toward a nearby pond. "Come." They walked outside. The pond was completely still. Lao Tzu picked up a small stone and dropped it into the water. Ripples spread across the surface. "Tell me," he said, "can you make the water become still by touching it?" The king replied, "No." "Exactly," said Lao Tzu. "When you try to force the water to become still, you create more movement. The same thing happens with your mind." The king remained silent. Lao Tzu continued, "You sit on your throne and say, 'I must focus.' Then you become worried that you are not focusing. Then you become angry with yourself. Then you think about the work you are supposed to be doing. And now your attention is divided into 4 directions." The king finally understood. "So what should I do?" Lao Tzu answered, "Stop fighting your mind. Give your attention to what is directly in front of you." The king asked, "But what about tomorrow?" "Tomorrow has not arrived. And what about yesterday? Yesterday has already left." Lao Tzu looked directly into his eyes. "You only possess this moment." Then he gave the king a simple challenge. "For the next 7 days, whenever you eat, only eat. When you speak to someone, only listen. When you make a decision, only make that decision. And when you work, do not work in your mind on 10 problems. Work on 1. The king followed his instructions. At first it was difficult. His thoughts kept pulling him away. But instead of fighting them, he simply returned his attention. Again and again and again. After 7 days, something strange happened. The kingdom had not changed. His responsibilities had not disappeared. His enemies had not vanished. But the king had changed. He was calmer. He listened more carefully. He made decisions faster. And most importantly, his mind no longer controlled every moment of his life. One morning, the king asked Lao Tzu, "What was the secret?" Lao Tzu smiled. "There was never a secret. Your attention was always yours. You simply kept giving it away. And perhaps that is the lesson we need today. Your mind will always produce thoughts. Your phone will always produce notifications. The world will always demand your attention. But you don't have to follow every thought that appears. You don't have to answer every distraction. You don't have to live in yesterday or constantly worry about tomorrow. Bring your attention back to the conversation, to the work, to the person in front of you, to this moment. Because wherever your attention goes, your life follows. Protect your attention. It is one of the most valuable things you possess.